I wasn't supposed to be here. The Grand Hall of the Seoul Pack Council had never held this many wolves. I pressed myself deeper into the shadows behind the eastern colonnade, my heart slamming against my ribs as I watched the ceremony unfold below. Thousands of candles blazed from crystal chandeliers, casting golden light across the faces of pack leaders, corporate elites, and common wolves who had traveled from every corner of Korea to witness this moment. The choosing. Every instinct screamed at me to leave, to return to the small studio apartment in Hongdae where I'd been hiding for 3 days, waiting for them to send word. Waiting for Minho, Siwon, or Tae-hyun to tell me this was all some terrible mistake. But they'd sent nothing, no message, no explanation, only silence. So here I was, 23 years old and stupid enough to believe three powerful alphas when they whispered promises in the dark. The mate mark on my left hip burned beneath my clothes, a phantom, heat that pulsed with every beat of my heart. I bit down on my lower lip, forcing myself to breathe through the pain. The claiming bite Minho had given me 2 months ago should have faded by now, if they truly meant to reject me. But it hadn't. If anything, it had grown darker, more permanent, like a brand seared into my skin. When the council's demands are satisfied, Minho had promised, his breath warm against my throat as we lay tangled together in his penthouse, we'll announce you to the world. You'll stand beside us, Jiwoo. Nothing will change that. I had believed him. Fool. The three alphas stood on the raised platform at the far end of the hall, their broad shoulders rigid beneath identical black suits. Even from this distance, I could see the sharp cut of Minho's jaw, the way Siwon's dark hair fell perfectly across his forehead, the dangerous stillness in Taehyun's posture that made lesser wolves bow their heads in instinctive submission. 6 months I had known another side of them. The men who laughed at my terrible jokes, the ones whose hands trembled when they touched my face, the ones who had sworn, on their wolves and their honor, that I was their fated mate, their only mate. My hand moved instinctively to my lower belly, where a different secret grew. A secret I'd planned to tell them tonight, after the ceremony, when they came to me as they always did. Apparently, I'd been planning a lot of things that would never happen. The candidates will now approach, the High Elder announced, his ancient voice carrying across the hushed hall. My nails bit into my palms as 5 Omegas in flowing white hanbok ascended the platform steps. Sons of the most powerful bloodlines in Seoul. Each one beautiful, each one trained from birth for this possibility. And at their center, with hair dyed platinum blonde and eyes like chips of ice, walked Jin Yohan of the Yoon Pack. The crowd murmured with approval. The Yoons controlled half of Gangnam's tech sector, commanded 3,000 wolves, and had been positioning their youngest son for this moment for years. I watched Minho's face for any sign of the man I knew, any flicker of warmth, any trace of the alpha who'd held me last week and told me I was the most important person in his entire world. His expression was carved from stone. Kang Minho, Park Siwon, Choi Tae-hyun, the High Elder intoned, alphas of the unified Soul Pack, blood of the first wolves. You have heard the council's terms. You have reviewed the alliances. The realm awaits your choice. The silence stretched like a blade. I stopped breathing. Surely they could feel it, the bond between us, singing through my veins like electricity. Surely they would turn, would find me in the crowd, would declare that their choice had already been made in the secret corners of penthouses and late-night drives along the Han River. Minho stepped forward. His movement was wrong, I realized, mechanical. His normally fluid grace had been replaced by something stiff, almost robotic. And his eyes, those warm amber eyes that had blazed with passion when he looked at me, seemed flat, distant, empty. We choose, his voice rang out, hollow as a tomb. Jin Yohan of the Yoon Pack. The hall erupted. Cheers and howls of celebration shook the ancient building. Nobles embraced. Business partners stamped their feet in approval. The political alliance that would secure Seoul's supernatural power structure for generations had been confirmed, and I felt something inside me shatter. The mark on my hip flared with sudden, searing pain. I gasped, doubling over in the shadows, my hand flying to the spot where Minho's teeth had once claimed my flesh. It burned as if his bite was being torn from my body, ripped away piece by piece. Through tear-blurred vision, I watched Taehyun take Johan's hand. Watched Siwon bow in the traditional gesture of acceptance. Watched the Omega smile with triumph while the three men I loved showed nothing at all. They didn't look for me. They didn't hesitate. They didn't seem to remember I existed. A sob tore from my throat, lost in the cacophony of celebration. I stumbled backward, desperate to escape before the grief crushed me completely. My shoulder struck a pillar. My vision swam. But I kept moving, kept running, kept fleeing from the moment my entire world collapsed. Behind me, the wolves of Seoul howled their approval, and ahead of me, in the darkness beyond the hall, lay a future I'd never planned for, a future where I'd raise their children alone. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, it just made me angry. I shoved through the service corridor door, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the handle. The sounds of celebration faded behind me, replaced by the hollow echo of my footsteps on marble floors. Every step sent another spike of pain through, the mark on my hip, like my body was physically rejecting what my mind already knew. They'd lied, all of it, every whispered promise, every stolen moment, every time they'd looked at me like I was their entire world. Lies. I pressed my palm against the cold wall, trying to steady myself, trying to breathe. But all I could see was Minho's empty eyes, Siwon's careful bow, Taehyun's hand wrapped around someone else's. 2 months ago, Minho's penthouse. 3 a.m. You're thinking too loud again. I'd rolled over to find Minho watching me, his amber eyes soft in the darkness. Behind him, through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Seoul glittered like a constellation of fallen stars. I can't help it, I'd whispered. You know I can't control it when I'm emotional. My telepathy had always been a curse disguised as a gift. Most of the time, I could keep other wolves' thoughts at bay. But when my emotions ran high, the walls came down. Every stray thought, every hidden feeling, every secret crashed into my mind like a tsunami. Minho had pulled me closer, his hand settling over my heart. Then let me give you something else to focus on. His lips had found mine, gentle at first, then deeper, hungrier. When Siwon emerged from the bedroom, followed by Taehyun, I'd felt their desire echo through the bond like a symphony. We talked to the council today, Siwon had said quietly, settling beside us, about making it official. My breath had caught. And they want us to go through with the choosing ceremony. Taehyun's voice had been rough with barely contained anger. Political theater. They've already selected candidates from the major PACs. But it doesn't mean anything, Minho had promised, tilting my chin up to meet his gaze. The bond between us is already complete. You carry my mark. Siwon's, Taehyun's. The ceremony is just for show. I'd wanted to believe him. God, I'd wanted to believe him so badly. After it's over, Siwon had murmured against my temple, we'll announce you properly, present you to the pack as our true mate. No more hiding. Taehyun's hand had found my hip, his thumb tracing the claiming bite with reverent precision. You're ours, Jiwoo. That will never change. I'd let them make love to me that night, let them whisper promises against my skin, let myself believe that 3 powerful alphas would choose a nobody Omega with a useless telepathic gift over political alliance and pack prosperity. Present day, service corridor. Reality. Idiot, I muttered, swiping at my eyes with the back of my hand. You absolute idiot. A wave of nausea rolled through me. I pressed my free hand to my stomach, breathing slowly through my nose. The morning sickness had been getting worse over the past week. Some days I could barely keep water down. And now I knew why. I'd gone to the clinic in Itaewon 3 days ago, the one that catered to wolves who valued discretion over paperwork. The doctor had been an older beta woman with kind eyes and zero judgment. Congratulations, she'd said, sliding the ultrasound image across her desk. Twins, about 8 weeks along. I'd stared at the 2 tiny shapes on the screen, my mind going completely blank. Given your bond markers, she'd continued gently, I'd say you're looking at alpha genetics. Strong ones, too. You're going to need proper prenatal care and don't tell anyone, I'd interrupted. Please. Not yet. She'd studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Your choice. But omega pregnancies with alpha twins can be complicated. You'll need support. Support, right? I'd planned to tell them tonight, had rehearsed the words 100 times in my head. I'm pregnant. We're having twins. I know it's earlier than we planned, but they'd chosen someone else. The nausea surged. Again. I stumbled toward the nearest bathroom, barely making it to a stall before I was sick. When the retching finally stopped, I slumped against the cool tile, exhausted. My phone buzzed in my pocket. For one wild, desperate second, I thought it might be them, that they'd somehow realized their mistake, that they were looking for me. But it was just my best friend Hyunwoo. Where are you? The ceremony just ended. Want to grab late-night tteokbokki? I almost laughed. Tteokbokki. As if spicy rice cakes could fix the fact that my entire life had just imploded. Another buzz. Jiwoo, you okay? My fingers hovered over the keyboard. What could I possibly say? Hey, remember those 3 alphas I've been secretly sleeping with for 6 months? The ones who promised I was their fated mate? Yeah, they just chose someone else in front of the entire Seoul pack. Also, I'm pregnant with their twins. How's your night going? Instead, I typed, I'm fine. Rain check? The lie tasted bitter on my tongue. I pushed myself to my feet, rinsed my mouth, and stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My eyes were reed-rimmed and swollen. My hair was a mess. I looked exactly like what I was, a 23-year-old Omega who'd been stupid enough to believe in fairy tales. The mark on my hip pulsed again, sending another wave of heat through my body. You need to stop, I told it quietly. They're not coming. But even as I said it, I felt something else through the bond. Something distant and frantic, like someone screaming underwater. I shoved the feeling away. I was done listening to ghosts. My phone buzzed again. I silenced it without looking and shoved it back into my pocket. The bathroom suddenly felt too small, the walls pressing in like they were trying to suffocate me. I needed to move, needed to get out of this building before someone found me crying in a bathroom stall like some tragic romance novel cliché. Though to be fair, my life had apparently become a tragic romance novel cliché. I straightened my shirt, wiped my face one last time, and stepped back into the corridor. The celebration sounds had moved deeper into the building. Good. That meant the main exits would be clear. I just needed to grab my things from the coat check and disappear. Forever. The thought should have scared me more than it did. Instead, I felt oddly calm, detached. Like I was watching myself from somewhere outside my body. Maybe this was what shock felt like. Or maybe I was just finally accepting reality. I made it to the coat check without running into anyone I knew. The elderly beta manning the counter handed over my jacket without comment, though his eyes lingered on my face a moment too long. Great. I probably looked exactly like someone who just had their heart ripped out and stomped on. Because I had. Outside, Seoul's spring air hit me like a slap. Cool and clean, carrying the scent of cherry blossoms from the trees. Lining the street, the Grand Hall sat in the heart of Gangnam, surrounded by gleaming high-rises and luxury boutiques. Everything here screamed wealth and power, everything I would never be. I pulled out my phone and ordered a cab. My hands were steadier now. The crying had helped, even if I hated admitting it. I had exactly 3 goals for tonight. 1. Get back to my apartment. 2. Pack my essentials. 3. Leave Seoul before morning. Simple, clean. No room for second-guessing or dramatic confrontations. The cab pulled up within minutes. I slid into the back seat and gave the driver my address in Hongdae. As we pulled away from the curb, I let myself look back at the Grand Hall one last time. Through the massive windows, I could see wolves dancing, celebrating, living their best lives while mine fell apart. I turned away. Rough night? The driver asked, catching my eye in the rearview mirror. You could say that. Boyfriend troubles? I almost laughed. Most. Boyfriends, plural. And yeah, something like that. He whistled low. Plural, Ambitious. Stupid is more accurate. Hey, no judgment here. My daughter's in a triad. Makes her happy. He shrugged. Love's complicated enough without people adding extra rules. Love? Right. Because what we'd had was definitely love and not just three powerful alphas enjoying a convenient fuck buddy until politics demanded otherwise. The bitterness must have shown on my face because the driver went quiet after that. My apartment building came into view 20 minutes later. It wasn't much, a fifth-floor walk-up in a neighborhood that catered to students and artists. But it was mine. The alphas had offered to move me somewhere nicer a dozen times, somewhere closer to their penthouses in Gangnam. I'd always refused. I like my independence, I told them. What I'd really meant was, I like having somewhere to run when this inevitably falls apart. Turned out, past me had been smarter than I'd given him credit for. I climbed the stairs slowly, my body aching in ways that had nothing to do with physical exertion. The mark on my hip had settled into a dull, constant throb, like a headache, but worse. Like my body was trying to remind me of everything I'd lost. Inside my apartment, I flipped on the lights and stared at the organized chaos I called home. Books stacked on every surface, plants hanging from the ceiling, a half-finished painting on the easel by the window. Evidence of a life I'd been building, one small piece at a time, a life that no longer included them. I grabbed my largest duffel bag from the closet and started packing. Clothes, toiletries, the prescription prenatal vitamins the clinic had given me, my grandmother's jade bracelet, the only family heirloom I owned. I moved mechanically, my mind blessedly blank. When the bag was full, I sat on the edge of my bed and pulled out my phone. 17 missed calls, 12 from Hyunwoo, 5 from numbers I didn't recognize, none from Minho, Siwon, or Taehyun. Of course not. They were probably too busy celebrating their brilliant political match. I opened my banking app. I had enough saved to last maybe 3 months if I was careful. Longer if I found work quickly. My telepathy wasn't particularly marketable. Most wolves found mind raiders creepy, but I had other skills. I could teach art, wait tables, whatever it took. My hand drifted to my stomach. It's just you and me now, I whispered. Well, you two and me. We'll figure it out. The babies didn't respond, obviously. They were barely the size of kidney beans. But I felt steadier saying it out loud, like I was making a promise. I wouldn't let them grow up wondering why their fathers hadn't wanted them. I'd make sure they never knew. A knock at my door made me freeze. For one wild second, hope surged through my chest. Maybe they'd realized. Maybe they'd come to explain. Maybe. Jiwoo? I know you're in there. I can smell the stress baking from the hallway. Hyunwoo. Not them. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I just felt tired. I opened the door to find my best friend standing there with 2 convenience store coffees and a bag of honey butter chips. His dark eyes swept over my face, taking in the red eyes and packed duffel bag. So, he said quietly, we doing the I'm fine dance, or are you actually going to tell me what happened? I took one of the coffees. Decaf, I noted. He'd remembered. They chose someone else. Hyunwoo's expression went carefully blank. The alphas. Yeah. The ones who swore you were their fated mate. Yep. The ones who marked you. I pulled up my shirt just enough to show him the darkened bite on my hip. His jaw tightened. I'm going to kill them. Get in line. I took a sip of coffee. I'm leaving Seoul, tonight. Jiwoo. I'm pregnant, Hyunwoo, with twins, and they just publicly chose someone else. My voice cracked despite my best efforts. I can't stay here. Hey, beautiful souls, if you're feeling all the emotions right now, because same, smash that subscribe button. Jiwoo's journey is just beginning, and trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next. The alphas? They're about to realize they made the biggest mistake of their lives. Subscribe now so you don't miss the chaos. Hyunwoo stared at me for a long moment, his coffee forgotten in his hand. Then he set it down carefully on my kitchen counter and pulled out his phone. Okay, he said simply. Where are we going? We. You think I'm letting you run off alone while pregnant with alpha twins? Have you met me? He was already scrolling through something on his screen. My cousin has a place in Busan, beach town, quiet, No major pack presence. He owes me a favor. My throat tightened. Hyunwoo, you don't have to. Jiwoo, shut up and let me help you. So I did. 3 hours later, we were on a train heading south. I watched Seoul's glittering skyline disappear into the darkness, my hand pressed against the window, like I could somehow hold on to the life I was leaving behind. I couldn't. The city blurred past. Lights became streaks. My reflection stared back at me, pale and hollow-eyed. The mark on my hip burned. It hadn't stopped burning since the ceremony. The beach house in Busan was small but perfect. White walls, wooden floors, and windows that overlooked the East Sea. Hyunwoo's cousin, a cheerful beta named Junho, had taken one look at my face and asked exactly 0 questions. "Stay as long as you need," he'd said, pressing the keys into my palm. "Rent's paid through the end of the year." That was 3 months ago. Now I stood in the same spot every morning, hands cradling my growing belly, watching the Jiwoo sunrise paint the water in shades of pink and gold. The twins were active today, moving in ways that felt almost like they were dancing. Some days I swore I could feel 2 distinct personalities already forming. One gentle, curious, the other fierce, impatient, just like their fathers. I shoved that thought away and headed inside. My art supplies were spread across the small dining table, a commissioned piece half finished on the easel. Painting had become my lifeline. Turns out, people would pay decent money for custom portraits, and I could work from anywhere with an internet connection. The telepathy helped too, in unexpected ways. I could sense what clients wanted before they fully articulated it, could capture the exact emotion they were searching for. It made me good at my job. It also made me exhausted. Reading minds wasn't like flipping through a book. It was more like standing in the middle of a crowded subway station with everyone's thoughts screaming at once. Most days I could filter it out, build mental walls. But pregnancy had made everything stronger, sharper, harder to control. Last week I'd accidentally picked up the thoughts of a couple arguing 3 houses down. Yesterday I'd sensed a lost child's panic from 2 blocks away and called it in before anyone realized the kid was missing. Today the beach was blessedly quiet. I was just settling into my painting when my phone rang. Hyunwoo. "Please tell me you're eating actual food and not just surviving on convenience store kimbap," he said without preamble. "I had an apple this morning. Jiwoo. And some yogurt, the expensive kind with the probiotics. You're impossible." But I could hear the smile in his voice. "How are my favorite nephews?" "Bold of you to assume they're both boys. Call it a hunch. Also, you've been referring to them as the boys for 2 weeks now." Had I? I glanced down at my belly, now visibly rounded under my oversized sweater. "They're good, active. I think one of them might be trying to escape through my rib cage. That's the Taehyun genes." My chest tightened at the name. I'd asked Hyunwoo not to mention them. He usually respected that boundary. "Sorry," he said quickly, reading my silence. Jiwoo, I need to tell you something." The serious tone made my stomach drop. "What?" "There are rumors coming out of Seoul." "Rumors about what?" Hyunwoo hesitated. "About the alphas. Minho, Siwon, and Taehyun. People are saying they've been acting strange since the choosing. Erratic. The pack elders are concerned." My hand found the mark on my hip automatically. It pulsed under my fingers, warm and insistent. "Define erratic." "Minho apparently fired half his executive team for no reason. Siwon's been skipping council meetings. And Taehyun," he paused. "Taehyun got into a fight with Jin Yohan's brother. Sent him to the hospital." Despite everything, a small, petty part of me felt satisfied. "Good. That's not my problem anymore," I said, proud of how steady my voice sounded. "Jiwoo, they're searching for something, or someone. The pack's been mobilizing resources, sending wolves out to every major city. My contact says Minho's offering a reward for information." "Information about what?" "That's the thing. No one knows. But the amount..." Hyunwoo's voice dropped. "It's enough to set someone up for life." The twins kicked simultaneously as if responding to my spike of anxiety. "They don't know about you," Hyunwoo added quickly. "I made sure of that. No trail, no records. As far as anyone's concerned, you vanished." "Good. Is it though?" Hyunwoo, I'm just saying, maybe there's an explanation. Maybe something happened that night. Maybe, maybe they chose someone else in front of hundreds of witnesses? My laugh came out bitter. Yeah, I was there. I saw it. But the bond, he pressed. You said the mark hasn't faded. That's not normal for a rejection. He was right. It wasn't. Among wolves, rejected mate bonds dissolve within weeks. The mark should have faded to nothing, leaving only a faint scar and bitter memories. Instead, mine had grown darker, more defined. Some mornings I woke up and swore I could feel them through it. Their emotions, their desperation, their searching. I don't care, I said, even though it was a lie. Whatever they're looking for, it's not me. Jiwoo, I have to go. The twins need food, which means I need food. I moved toward the kitchen, phone pressed between my shoulder and ear. Thanks for the update, but I'm fine, really. Another lie. Just be careful, okay? And if you need anything, I know, you're one call away. We hung up. I stood in my tiny kitchen, hands braced against the counter, breathing slowly through the nausea that had nothing to do with morning sickness. They were searching. Why? The mark burned hotter, and for just a second, I felt something pulse through it. Something that felt like recognition, like someone had just thought my name. I slammed my mental shields up so hard I gave myself a headache. Nope, I told my reflection in the kitchen window. Not doing this. The twins kicked again. You two need to stop taking their side, I muttered, rubbing my belly. Team Jiwoo, remember? Outside, the ocean stretched endlessly toward the horizon. Somewhere north, in Seoul, three alphas were tearing their world apart. But here, in this small beach house, I was building something new. Something they'd never be part of. I had to believe that, even if the mark on my hip was calling me a liar. I was still standing there, staring at my reflection and having a mental argument with an invisible bond, when I felt it. A presence. Not physical, not yet, but something brushing against the edges of my consciousness like fingers trailing through water. Searching, reaching, hunting. My telepathy flared to life before I could stop it, and suddenly I was drowning in emotions that weren't mine. Desperation so thick it choked me. Rage that tasted like copper on my tongue. And underneath it all, a grief so profound it made my knees buckle. I grabbed the counter to stay upright. No, I gasped. No, no, no! But the presence pushed harder, and for one terrible second, I felt him. Minho. His thoughts crashed into mine like a wave breaking against rocks. Fragmented. Chaotic. Wrong. Find him. Have to find him. 3 months. Too long. Bond screaming. Wolf breaking. Where is he? Where is he? Where is? I slammed my shields up with everything I had. The connection severed. I stood there panting, my heart trying to beat its way out of my chest. The twins were going absolutely wild inside me, responding to my panic with kicks that actually hurt. Sorry. Sorry, I whispered, rubbing my belly with shaking hands. It's okay. We're okay. We weren't okay. If I could feel Minho from this distance, if the bond was strong enough for his thoughts to reach me across hundreds of kilometers, that meant one thing. He was getting closer. My phone rang. I knew who it was before I looked. Hyunwoo, whatever you're about to say, they're in Busan. The world tilted. What? My contact just called. A pack of Seoul wolves arrived an hour ago. They're searching the coast, going door to door, showing a picture. A picture of what? But I already knew. Of you. I looked around my small beach house. The windows facing the ocean. The single exit. The complete lack of anywhere to hide. How much time do I have? I don't know. Maybe hours? They started on the north side of the city. You're south, but Jiwoo. Hyunwoo's voice cracked. You need to run. Now. I was already moving, grabbing my duffel bag from the closet, shoving clothes inside with trembling hands. Where am I supposed to go if they're searching the whole coast? There's a temple in the mountains, 40 minutes inland. The monks there owe me a favor. They'll hide you. Of course they did. Hyunwoo seemed to have favors owed all over Korea. Text me the address. Already done. Jiwoo, listen. Don't use your card. Don't call anyone except me. And whatever you do, don't what? Don't let them find you until you're ready. I almost laughed. I'm never going to be ready. Then don't let them find you at all. We hung up. I finished packing in under 5 minutes. Clothes, toiletries, the prenatal vitamins, my laptop and art supplies because I'd need money wherever I ended up. My grandmother's bracelet, the painting on the easel, caught my eye, half finished. A commission for a couple celebrating their 10th anniversary. I left it. Outside, the late afternoon sun painted everything in shades of amber and gold. Beautiful, peaceful, completely at odds with the terror coursing through my veins. I was halfway to my car when I felt it again. That presence. But this time it wasn't just Minho. It was all three of them. The bond exploded to life like someone had lit a match to gasoline. Heat flooded through me, so intense I actually stumbled. The mark on my hip burned white hot, and I felt their combined emotions slam into me with the force of a freight train. Taehyun. Close. He's close. I can feel him. Siwon. Where? Give me a direction. Minho. South. The bond's pulling south. Oh God. They weren't just in Busan. They were tracking me through the bond. I threw myself into my car and started the engine with shaking hands. The address Hyunwoo sent was already pulled up on my phone. 40 minutes to the temple. I could make it. I had to make it. I pulled out of the driveway just as a black SUV turned onto my street. My heart stopped. Through the windshield, I caught a glimpse of the driver. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair. Not one of them, but definitely Seoul Pack. Our eyes met for a fraction of a second. His widened in recognition. Shit. I floored it. The SUV's tires squealed as it whipped around to follow. In my rearview mirror, I saw the driver grab his phone, calling for backup, calling for them. I took the next turn too fast, my little sedan screaming in protest. The twins were kicking frantically now, like they could sense the danger, or maybe they could sense their fathers nearby. Traitors. Not helping, I muttered, one hand on the wheel, one hand on my belly. The SUV was gaining. Of course it was. My car was a decade-old Hyundai with a questionable transmission. Theirs was probably bulletproof and cost more than I'd make in 5 years. I took another turn, this one onto a narrow street that climbed up into the hills. The temple was inland. Up. If I could just lose them in the winding roads. My phone rang. Unknown number. My hand hovered over the decline button. But something made me answer. Put it on speaker. Jiwoo. Minho's voice. I hadn't heard it in 3 months, but it still made my entire body react. The bond sang in recognition, trying to pull me toward him like a magnet. I gritted my teeth against it. How did you get this number? That doesn't matter, baby, please, just stop the car. Don't call me that. Jiwoo? His voice cracked. Please, let me explain. Let us explain. What happened that night, it wasn't... We didn't what? Didn't choose someone else in front of hundreds of witnesses? Because I was there, Minho. I saw it. We were drugged. The word hit me like a slap. What? Someone slipped something into our drinks. Before the ceremony. We don't remember any of it. Jiwoo, we would never... You have to believe me. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But I'd spent 3 months building walls around my heart. 3 months convincing myself I was better off alone. 3 months preparing to raise their children without them. I couldn't just tear all that down because of 2 words. I don't have to believe anything. The bond, Minho said desperately. You feel it. I know you do. It never broke. It can't break because you're ours and we're... Stop following me. I can't. Minho. I can't, Jiwoo. None of us can. We've been losing our minds for 3 months. The pack is falling apart. Our wolves are... He made a sound that was half laugh, half sob. We need you. Please, just give us 5 minutes. Let us... I hung up and drove faster into the mountains. The road narrowed as I climbed higher, pine trees pressing in on both sides. My phone kept buzzing, call after call. I ignored them all. The SUV was still behind me, but it had fallen back slightly. The mountain roads were tricky, full of hairpin turns and steep drops. One wrong move, and I didn't let myself finish that thought. The twins kicked hard, right under my ribs. A reminder that I wasn't just running for myself anymore. "I know," I whispered. "I'm trying." My phone buzzed with a text. Against my better judgment, I glanced at it. Saiwon. "The temple won't hide you. We know where you're going." My blood ran cold. How did they? Hyunwoo. They must have gotten to Hyunwoo. Another text. Taehyun. "We're not trying to hurt you. We're trying to save you." "Save me?" I wanted to scream. "From what? You're the ones chasing me." But even as I thought it, something felt wrong. The desperation in Minho's voice, the raw panic bleeding through the bond, the way they were moving, not like predators hunting prey, but like they were terrified of losing me again. I shook my head, forcing the thoughts away. It didn't matter. Drugged or not, they'd still stood up there and chosen someone else. They'd still let me disappear for 3 months without a word. If they really cared, they would have found me sooner. The road curved sharply. I took the turn too fast and my tires squealed in protest. Through the trees, I caught a glimpse of the temple complex ahead. Traditional buildings with curved roofs, nestled against the mountainside. Almost there. Then I saw the roadblock. 3 black SUVs parked across the road, forming a barrier I couldn't possibly get through. And standing in front of them, backlit by the setting sun, were figures I would have recognized anywhere. Minho, Siwon, Taehyun. My foot hit the brake automatically. The car skidded to a stop 20 meters away from them. For a long moment, nobody moved. We just stared at each other through the windshield, the engine ticking as it cooled. They looked terrible. Minho's normally immaculate appearance was wrecked. His hair was a mess, his shirt wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes that spoke of weeks without proper sleep. Siwon, usually so controlled and elegant, was practically vibrating with barely contained emotion. And Taehyun looked feral. His eyes had shifted to wolf gold, his jaw tight, his hands clenched into fists at his sides like he was physically restraining himself from charging at my car. The bond thrummed between us, pulling so hard it actually hurt. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. Minho took a step forward. I threw the car into reverse. "Jiwoo, wait!" His voice carried across the distance. Please!" But I was already backing up, turning, looking for another route. Any route. That's when I saw the second roadblock behind me. More SUVs, more wolves. I was boxed in. "No, no, no!" I scanned the tree line, looking for a gap, a trail, or anything. But the forest was too dense. Even if I abandoned the car and ran, I wouldn't make it 10 steps before they caught me, especially not 6 months pregnant with twins. My telepathy flared without warning, and suddenly I was inside their heads. All 3 of them at once. Minho. He's panicking. The bond is screaming. "Baby, please don't run." Siwon. "We're scaring him. Back up. Give him space." Taehyun. "I can't. I physically cannot move further away. My wolf won't let me." Their combined desperation slammed into me like a physical force. It wasn't an act. This wasn't some elaborate manipulation. They were genuinely, completely, utterly falling apart. Because of me. I cut the connection and leaned my forehead against the steering wheel, breathing hard. "This is insane," I muttered. "This whole situation is insane." One of the twins kicked me in what felt like the spleen. "You're not helping." A knock on my window made me jump. Siwon stood there, hands raised in a gesture of peace. Up close, he looked even worse. His eyes were reed-rimmed, his normally perfect hair falling across his forehead in disarray. "Jiwoo," he said quietly, "please, just give us 5 minutes." "So you can what? Explain why you chose someone else?" "So we can explain why we didn't." I stared at him. "I was there, Siwon. I saw it." "What you saw," he said carefully, "was 3 alphas who had been drugged with a compound specifically designed to suppress mate bonds. We didn't choose Johan. We weren't capable of choosing anything." "That's convenient. It's the truth." His hand pressed against the window, like he was trying to touch me through the glass. "We woke up 3 days later with no memory of the ceremony and found you gone. Do you have any idea what that did to us? Do you have any idea what watching you choose someone else did to me?" His expression cracked. "Jiwoo, I'm sorry. We're all sorry. But you have to understand, We've been searching for you every single day. Every single day. The pack is in chaos. The council wants us removed. Half of Seoul thinks we've lost our minds. He laughed bitterly. Maybe we have, but we can't stop. We won't stop. Not until you hear the truth. I wanted to believe him. I really, really wanted to believe him. But 3 months of pain had built walls around my heart that couldn't be torn down with pretty words. The truth, I said slowly, is that I'm carrying your children. Twins. And for 3 months, I've been preparing to raise them alone because you couldn't be bothered to find me. Saiwan went completely still. What? Oh. Oh no. You? You didn't know. You're pregnant? His voice came out strangled. With our... Behind him, Minho and Taishun had gone statue still. Even from this distance, I could see the exact moment the information registered. The bond exploded. Every emotion they were feeling hit me at once. Shock, joy, terror, overwhelming, crushing guilt, and love. So much love it brought tears to my eyes. Jiwoo, Minho's voice carried across the space between us. Get out of the car. No, please. Give me one good reason. Because, Taehyun growled, his wolf fully in control now. Our mate is pregnant and in danger, and we need to protect him. Danger? The only danger here is you three. I stopped, because through my telepathy, I just picked up another presence. Someone watching from the trees. Someone whose thoughts were absolutely, terrifyingly clear. Target acquired. Pregnant. Vulnerable. Yoonpak will pay well for this. Assassin. My door was ripped open before I could scream a warning, but not by the assassin, by Taehyun, whose eyes were pure gold and whose canines had already dropped. Stay behind me, he snarled. Then all hell broke loose. Okay, loves, I need you to pause and hit that subscribe button right now, because things are about to get wild. We've got assassins, 3 feral alphas, a pregnant Omega with telepathy, and enough angst to fuel a whole drama. Don't you dare miss what happens next. The first gunshot shattered my rear window. I didn't even have time to scream before Taehyun was pulling me out of the car, his body a wall between me and whoever was shooting. Glass rained down around us, glittering in the fading sunlight like deadly snow. How many? Minho's voice cut through the chaos, already shifting mid-stride. His bones cracked and reformed, clothes tearing as his wolf emerged. Massive, black as midnight, terrifying. My telepathy gave me the answer before I could speak. 4, I gasped. In the trees. Yoonpak mercenaries. Saiwan's head whipped toward me. You can sense them? Telepathy. I can hear their thoughts. Another shot. This one hit the car's front tire, which exploded with a sound like a bomb going off. Taehyun swore viciously and hauled me toward the nearest SUV. How did we not know you were telepathic? You never asked. Fair point, his expression seemed to say. Then he was shifting too, his wolf form erupting in a surge of silver-gray fur. He positioned himself in front of me, snarling at the tree line. Through the bond, I felt rather than saw Minho and Siwon coordinating. They'd done this before, fought together, moved like they shared a single mind, which, given our bond, they kind of did. Minho, 2 on the left. Siwon, you take right. I'll flush them out. Siwon, the Omega, Taehyun, is mine. Focus. Even in the middle of a firefight, I felt a ridiculous flutter in my chest at the possessiveness in his mental voice. Stupid pregnancy hormones. Minho's wolf disappeared into the forest with terrifying speed. A scream echoed seconds later. Then another. Siwon, now in his elegant white wolf form, circled around the opposite side. That left me crouched behind an SUV with Taehyun standing guard, both of us breathing hard. So, I said, because apparently mortal danger made me chatty, this is romantic. Taehyun's wolf made a sound that might have been a laugh. Then his head snapped toward the tree line, lips pulling back from 3-inch fangs. I didn't need telepathy to know what that meant. Someone was coming. A figure emerged from the shadows, human form, male, youngish, maybe mid-20s. He held a gun with the casual confidence of someone who'd used it before. Hand over the Omega, he called out. And we'll make this quick. Tai-hyun growled, the sound vibrating through the ground. The mercenary's eyes flicked to me. Yoon Dae-hyun is willing to pay triple if we bring you in alive. Something about you being leverage against the Seoul alphas. He smiled. It wasn't pleasant. Guess he was right. Oh, I was going to have words with Jin Yohan's family. Violent words. Here's a counter-proposal, I called back, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. You leave now, and I don't let my very angry alphas rip you apart. Your alphas abandon you? Clearly not. I gestured to Tae-hyun, who looked approximately 2 seconds away from committing murder. Also, fun fact, I'm pregnant with twins, alpha twins. So not only are you threatening their mate, you're threatening their children. The mercenary's confidence flickered. Yeah, I continued on a roll now. I can literally feel how murderous they are through our bond. It's like really intense. One of them is currently imagining creative ways to use your spine as a decoration. That was Minho. Definitely Minho. So maybe, I said sweetly, run? He raised the gun. Tae-hyun lunged. What happened next was over in seconds, but it felt like it lasted forever. Tae-hyun's massive wolf form crashed into the mercenary, sending the gun flying. They hit the ground hard, rolling, snarling. I heard bones break, heard the man scream. Then silence. Tae-hyun stood over the unconscious mercenary, blood on his muzzle, his chest heaving. Through the bond, I felt Minho and Siwon finishing off the others. Efficient, brutal, final. The forest went quiet. Tae-hyun shifted back to human form, completely naked and covered in dirt and blood. Under different circumstances, I might have appreciated the view. Right now, I was too busy trying not to throw up from the adrenaline crash. Are you hurt? His hands were on me instantly, checking for injuries with a gentleness that completely contradicted the violence of seconds ago. I'm fine. The twins are fine. I pushed his hands away. You're bleeding. It's not mine. That's not reassuring. Minho and Siwon emerged from the trees, both back in human form, both equally naked and bloodstained. It should have been ridiculous. Instead, it was somehow the hottest and most terrifying thing I'd ever seen. 4 hostiles neutralized, Siwon reported. Then his eyes found mine, and his expression softened into something that made my heart hurt. You're really pregnant. It wasn't a question, but I answered anyway. 6 months. Twins. Both boys, probably. Minho made a choke sound. 6 months, he repeated. You've been carrying our children for 6 months. Alone. The accusation in his voice sparked my anger back to life. Yeah, well, you 3 were busy being publicly engaged to someone else. We were drugged, Tae-hyun growled. So you keep saying. It's the truth. Minho took a step toward me. I took a step back. He stopped, pain flashing across his face. Jiwoo, please, let us explain. Everything. You had 3 months to find me, to explain. We've been looking for you every single day. Siwon's control finally cracked. Do you have any idea what it's been like? Feeling you through the bond but not being able to reach you? Knowing you were out there somewhere? Possibly hurt? Possibly hating us? I do hate you. The words came out automatically, but even as I said them, I knew they were a lie. I wanted to hate them. God, I wanted to so badly. But the bond wouldn't let me, and neither would my traitorous heart. Liar, Minho said softly. The bond doesn't lie, baby. We can feel what you feel. Don't call me that. What should I call you then? Our mate? The father of our children? The person we've been losing our minds over for 3 months? How about Jiwoo? I snapped. Just Jiwoo, the guy you humiliated in front of the entire Soul Pack. We didn't. I don't care. The words exploded out of me. I don't care if you were drugged. I don't care if it was all some conspiracy. You still let me leave. You still let me think I meant nothing to you. You still let me spend 3 months preparing to raise your children alone. The twins chose that moment to kick, hard enough to make me wince. All 3 alphas zeroed in on the movement. Can we? Taehyun's voice came out rough. Can we feel them? I should have said no, should have kept that boundary. But the hope in his eyes destroyed me. Fine, I muttered. but this doesn't mean I forgive you. Taehyun was in front of me in a heartbeat, his large hand hovering over my belly. May I? The fact that he asked permission made my throat tight. I nodded. His palm settled over the swell of my stomach, warm and careful. His eyes widened as one of the twins kicked against his hand. "Oh my God," he breathed. Minho and Siwon crowded closer, their hands joining Taehyun's. The twins, apparently showing off, kicked from multiple directions at once. "They're strong," Siwon whispered. "They're ours," Minho added, his voice wrecked. And watching these three powerful alphas, naked and bloodstained and completely undone by the feeling of their children moving inside me, I felt my carefully constructed walls begin to crack. "We have a lot to talk about," I said quietly. "Yeah," Minho agreed. "We do. But first," Siwon interjected, "we need to get you somewhere safe. If the Yoon Pack sent 4 mercenaries, they'll send more." He was right. I hated that he was right. "Fine," I sighed. "But someone needs to put on pants first. This is getting ridiculous." Taehyun grinned. "You're the one staring. Pregnancy hormones doesn't count." "Sure, baby. Stop calling me that." But I didn't pull away when Minho wrapped a jacket around my shoulders, or when Siwon guided me toward their SUV with a hand on my lower back. I was still furious, still hurt, still terrified of letting them back in. But as we drove away from the mountain, 3 alphas surrounding me like a protective wall, the twins settled peacefully for the first time in weeks. Traitors. "You're glaring at your stomach," Siwon observed from the driver's seat. He'd managed to find clothes in one of the SUVs, thank God. Watching him drive shirtless would have been too much for my already frayed nerves. "The twins are taking your side." "Good," Minho said from beside me. He'd also found pants, though his shirt was still missing. "At least someone in this car has sense." I elbowed him in the ribs. "You don't get to make jokes yet." "When do I get to make jokes?" "Maybe in 6 months. Maybe never. I haven't decided." Despite everything, his lips twitched. "Fair." We were heading back towards Seoul, apparently to a safe house the pack maintained in Gangnam. Taehyun sat on my other side, close enough that our thighs touched. Every few seconds, his hand would drift toward my belly, then stop like he was asking permission each time. It was annoying how endearing I found it. "So," I said, because the silence was starting to feel too heavy, "someone want to explain the drugging thing? Because I have questions." The 3 of them exchanged glances. "We had the drinks tested afterward," Siwon said carefully. "A compound derived from wolfsbane, mixed with something our chemists are still trying to identify. It suppressed our wolves completely. Made us suggestible." "Suggestible," I repeated flatly. "We became puppets," Minho said bluntly. "We said what we were told to say, did what we were told to do, and we don't remember any of it." The mark on my hip pulsed, and through the bond, I felt the truth of his words. The horror, the violation. "Who did it?" I asked quietly. "The Yoon Pack," Taehyun growled. "We have proof now. Video footage of Johan's older brother tampering with our drinks before the ceremony." "Why?" "Power." Siwon's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "With one of their own bonded to us, they'd control the Soul Pack by proxy. They've been positioning for this for years, and I was in the way." "You were everything," Minho corrected. "You are everything. That's why they needed you gone." I wanted to stay angry, wanted to hold on to the hurt, but I'd been inside their heads during the fight. I'd felt their anguish, their desperate need to protect me, their complete devastation at the thought of losing me again. You couldn't fake emotions like that, not through a mate bond. "When did you figure it out?" I asked. "That you'd been drugged?" 3 days after the ceremony, Taehyun said. "We woke up feeling like we'd been hit by a truck. The bond was screaming. Our wolves were going feral, and we had no memory of choosing anyone. The first thing I did was run to your apartment," Minho added quietly. "But you were already gone. No trace, no forwarding address. It was like you'd vanished into thin air." "I had help." "Hyunwoo," Siwon said. "We figured. He's a good friend. The best." I paused. "You didn't hurt him, did you? To get information?" "We asked nicely," Taehyun said, which from his tone probably meant they'd been terrifying. "He didn't break," Siwon added. Wouldn't tell us anything. Just said you were safe and that we should leave you alone. Good. I'd have to thank Hyunwoo properly later. Maybe name one of the twins after him. So how did you find me? The bond, Minho said simply. It never faded. Every day it got stronger. And about a week ago, we started being able to sense your general direction. That's when you mobilized the pack. That's when we stopped caring about the consequences and mobilized everything we had, he corrected. The council threatened to remove us. Half the pack elders demanded we complete the bond with Johan. We told them all to go to hell. Something warm and dangerous bloomed in my chest. No, I wasn't going to fall for this. Not yet. What about Johan? I asked. What happened to him after you remembered? We rejected him publicly, Siwon said. Told the entire pack council the truth about the drugging. His family is currently under investigation. And Johan himself claimed he didn't know. Taehyun's voice dripped with skepticism. Said his family acted without his knowledge. Do you believe him? No, all three said in unison. Despite myself, I smiled. The SUV pulled into an underground garage beneath a gleaming high-rise. Security cameras tracked our movement, and I spotted at least 6 guards stationed at various points. This is the safe house, I asked. Penthouse level, Siwon confirmed. Completely secure. The Yoon pack won't be able to touch you here. Us, Mino corrected, won't be able to touch us. The elevator ride up was quiet. The twins had finally settled, their movements gentle now instead of frantic. Through the bond, I could feel the alpha's wolves calming too, soothed by my proximity. The penthouse was exactly what I expected. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul, expensive furniture, pristine and perfect, and completely unlived in. You don't stay here, I observed. Not usually, Minho admitted, but it's the most secure location we have. I walked to the windows looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there was my little beach house in Busan, my art supplies, my carefully constructed new life. I need you to understand something, I said without turning around. The last 3 months have been hell. I thought you didn't want me. Thought I was raising our children alone. I built an entire future in my head that didn't include you. Jiwoo, I'm not done. I turned to face them. I believe you were drugged. I believe you didn't choose Johan willingly. But you still let 3 months pass. 3 months where I was alone and pregnant and terrified. We were searching, Taehyun said desperately. Every single day. I know, but you didn't find me. And I had to learn to be okay with that. I placed both hands on my belly. I had to learn to be okay with a lot of things. Siwon stepped forward slowly, like he was approaching a spooked animal. What do you need from us? The question surprised me. I'd expected demands, declarations, alpha posturing, not this quiet offer of submission. Time, I said finally. I need time to trust you again. How much time? I don't know. We can do time, Minho said. We can do whatever you need. Can you do listening? Can you do respecting my boundaries? Can you do not making decisions for me because you think you know better? Yes, all three said. Even if it's hard? Especially if it's hard, Taehyun added. I studied their faces, saw the sincerity, the desperation, the love. Okay, I said quietly. Then we can try. The relief that flooded through the bond nearly knocked me over. Minho crossed the space between us in 3 strides, then stopped, hands hovering near my face. Can I? I nodded. His lips met mine, gentle and reverent and tasting like coming home. The bond sang between us, and I felt the exact moment 3 months of pain started to heal. When we broke apart, Siwon was there, then Taehyun, each kiss a promise and an apology. We're going to spend the rest of our lives making this up to you, Siwon murmured against my temple. Good, I said, because you have a lot to make up for. Starting with proper prenatal care, Minho said, already shifting into protective mode, and security, and letting me finish my art. Commissions because I still have bills to pay. They stared at me. You've been working? Taehyun asked. How else was I supposed to afford prenatal vitamins? I shot back. The good ones are expensive. Jiwoo, Siwon said carefully, you're carrying the heirs to the Soul Pack. Money is not something I'm comfortable taking from you yet, I interrupted. I've been independent for 3 months. I'm not ready to give that up. Another exchange glance. Okay, Minho said finally. But we're hiring security. Fine. And a doctor. The best Omega pregnancy specialist in Korea. Fine. And you're moving in here? Absolutely not. Jiwoo. I said I needed time. That includes time before I move into your love nest. It's not a love nest, Taehyun protested. I gestured around at the expensive penthouse. This screams rich alpha lair. Would you prefer the actual lair? Siwon asked dryly. Because we have one of those too. Despite everything, I laughed and felt for the first time in 3 months like maybe things were going to be okay. There it is, Minho said softly, his eyes locked on my face. I've missed that sound. What, me laughing at you? You being happy with us? The words settled something in my chest, something that had been twisted and broken since the night of the choosing. I'm not ready to forgive everything, I said honestly, but I'm willing to try. That's all we're asking, Siwon said. A sharp pain lanced through my belly. I gasped, doubling over. All three alphas were on me instantly, hands steadying me, voices overlapping in panic. What's wrong? Is it the babies? Should we call a doctor? I'm fine, I managed. Just Braxton Hicks. False contractions. The doctor said they're normal. Nothing about you being in pain is normal, Taehyun growled. Welcome to pregnancy. It's a joy. Another contraction hit, stronger this time. Through my telepathy, I felt the twins' consciousness brush against mine. Not thoughts exactly. They were too young for that, but emotions. Anticipation, a restlessness. Oh no, I breathed. What? Minho's hand found mine, squeezing tight. I don't think these are false contractions. Siwon's eyes widened. You're in labor. Maybe. I don't know. This is my first time. You're only 6 months along, Taehyun said, panic bleeding into his voice. It's too early. Tell that to your sons. What followed was controlled chaos. Siwon called their pack doctor while Minho helped me to the couch. Taehyun paced like a caged animal, his wolf clearly fighting for dominance. They're going to be okay, I said, though I wasn't sure if I was reassuring him or myself. Alpha genetics. They're strong. You're strong, Minho corrected, pressing a kiss to my forehead. Strongest person I know. The doctor arrived within 15 minutes, a calm beta woman named Dr. Kang, who took one look at me and smiled. Well, she said after a quick examination, looks like these twins are eager to meet their fathers. It's too early, I protested. For humans, yes. For wolves carrying alpha twins? She shrugged. Right on schedule. Their accelerated development means 6 months for you is closer to 8 months for a normal pregnancy. Why didn't anyone tell me that? Did you see a wolf doctor during your prenatal care? I thought of the kind beta woman in Busan who'd ask no questions. Not exactly, Dr. Kang sighed. Well, you're seeing one now, and I'm telling you these babies are ready. Question is, are you? Was I ready to become a parent? To bind myself permanently to 3 alphas who'd broken my heart and then spent 3 months trying to put it back together? Another contraction answered for me. Ready or not, I gasped, they're coming. The next hours were a blur. Pain, pressure, the alphas taking turns holding my hand and looking absolutely terrified. At some point, Taehyun shifted to wolf form and curled up at the foot of the bed, whining softly every time I cried out. You're doing amazing, Siwon murmured, wiping sweat from my forehead. I'm dying. You're not dying. Feel like dying. Baby, you're the strongest Omega I've ever met, Minho said. You survived 3 months alone. You survived an assassination attempt. You can survive this. Easy for you to say. You're not pushing a watermelon out of... Another contraction cut me off. And then finally, mercifully, I heard it. A cry. Small and indignant and absolutely perfect. It's a boy, Dr. Kang announced, holding up a squirming bundle. Healthy lungs on this. One. Tears streamed down my face as they placed him on my chest. He was tiny. Perfect. With a shock of dark hair and eyes that would probably turn amber once they focused. One more, Dr. Kang said. You're doing great. The second twin came faster. Another boy, slightly smaller than his brother, but just as loud. Twins, I breathed. looking down at the two babies now resting against my chest. We have twins. Minho was crying openly. Siwon's hand trembled as he reached out to touch one tiny fist. Taehyun had shifted back to human form and was staring at his sons with an expression of absolute wonder. "They're perfect," he whispered. "They're ours," I corrected. The words settled over us like a benediction. Ours, not mine, not theirs. Ours. Dr. Kang finished the cleanup and showed the alphas how to hold the babies properly. Watching three powerful wolves handle newborns with extreme care was possibly the cutest thing I'd ever seen. "What? Should we name them?" Siwon asked, cradling the smaller twin. I looked at my sons, our sons, and somehow the names came easily. "Hajun," I said, touching the firstborn's cheek. "It means summer, because he's going to be warm and bright and everything good in this world." "And his brother?" Minho asked. "Junwoo, talented and divine," I smiled. "Because these two surviving everything we've been through, that's nothing short of divine intervention." "Hajun and Junwoo," Taehyun repeated. "Perfect." The twins seemed to agree, settling peacefully in their father's arms. Over the next hours, the penthouse filled with pack members coming to see the new heirs. Hyunwoo arrived with enough baby supplies to stock a store, crying happy tears as he held Hajun. Even some of the council elders showed up, offering formal congratulations and not-so-subtle relief that the pack finally had stability again. Through it all, the three alphas never left my side, taking turns holding the babies, making sure I ate, looking at me like I'd hung the moon. "I love you," Minho said quietly, when it was just the five of us again. "I should have said it before, should have said it every day, but I'm saying it now. I love you, Jiwoo, completely, eternally." "We all do," Siwon added. "More than anything," Taehyun finished. The bond between us glowed warm and complete. The mark on my hip had finally stopped burning, replaced by a gentle heat that felt like home. "I love you too," I admitted. "All of you. Even when I didn't want to. Even when it hurt. I never stopped." "Never again," Minho promised. "We'll never give you reason to doubt us again." "You better not, because I'm not going through pregnancy twice." "Never?" Taehyun asked hopefully. I looked at the twins, already sleeping peacefully, at the three alphas who'd torn their world apart to find me, at the life we were building, together from the ashes of what we'd lost. "Ask me again in 5 years." Their smiles could have lit up all of Seoul. Later, when the babies were asleep and the alphas were dozing in various chairs around the room, I stood at the window holding Hajun. The city sparkled below us, full of possibilities. "You're going to have the best life," I whispered to my son. "You and your brother. You're going to grow up knowing you're loved, wanted, cherished. You're going to have 3 fathers who would move mountains for you, and you're going to have me, making sure they don't spoil you too much." Hajun made a small sound in his sleep. Behind me, I felt Minho's presence. His arms came around us both, careful not to wake the baby. "Thank you," he murmured against my hair. "For what?" "For not giving up on us, for carrying our children, for being the most incredible person I've ever met." I leaned back against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "Thank you for finding me. Always," he promised. "In this life and every life after. I'll always find you." The bond hummed with truth, and looking out at Seoul's skyline, with my son in my arms and my mate at my back, I finally understood what home felt like. It wasn't a place. It was this. Them. Us. Family. OMG, you guys! If you made it this far, you're absolutely amazing and I love you. Wasn't that the most emotional roller coaster ever? From heartbreak to assassins, to twins, to the happiest ending. If you enjoy Jiwoo's journey and want to see more stories with this much angst, drama, and happy endings, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment. Mine was when Taehyun went full protective Papa Bear. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. You're the best audience ever, and I can't wait to bring you more incredible stories. See you in the next one. Lovelies.